wherever you may be. Welcome to Observations. We've got Kirk and Scott here with us today. We're going to pick back up where we left off last week and then move into what I think is an extremely important discussion. The timeline, as we study Yahowah's communication to us, begins with the creation and very quickly moves to his relationship with Adam in the garden. And once that relationship deteriorated, the next significant event is the flood. Mm-hmm. Now, following it is a discussion that most people just kind of skip over. That their recollection of it is nothing more than the Tower of Babel, and trying to figure out what the Tower of Babel is without ever really thinking about the story itself. And of course, even in the flood, it's considered a myth because of the ancient tablets, the cuneiform tablets that were found in Babel of all places, the Gilgamesh epic. Ever read it? You're a history buff. You ever read the Gilgamesh epic?
I've read certain parts of it, yes.
Yeah, it actually comes in 12 volumes. I've read all 12 volumes.
Wow.
They've published now all 12 volumes of the Gilgamesh epic. The story, if you were to compare the story of Noah and the ark and the flood to the Gilgamesh era, they differ somewhere in the range of about 99.9%.
That's a big difference.
And they are similar on 0.1%, and the places they differ are material, and the places they're the same are essentially immaterial. Mm-hmm. But the scholars who know a lot of things and yet understand nothing seem to think that one was derived from the other, which would be, it's just stunningly ludicrous. Mm-hmm. Now, and of course they do that because of the flood, but guess what? If the flood occurred where Yahowah said it occurred, which was in Mesopotamia, went up through Ur and culminated up in the area of the Black Sea. That being the case, shortly after it, within 1,000 years of that occurrence, would you expect that some of the ancient mythological stories would include
absolutely
the story of a flood?
You get around a campfire and you tell them what you know and what you heard.
Right.
Parents told you.
Because the people who moved in from outside that region would have known that, wow, there's something really whacked out here. There used to be these huge communities and civilizations around the Black Sea, and it used to be fresh water. And now, boy, the surface of the Black Sea has, which was an inland lake, mm-hmm. is now 500 feet higher than it was before. There isn't any trace of any of those civilizations. And the water turned to salt. Something really impressive happened here. You would have thought, too, when they found the Burkle impact crater off the coast there, not too far from Ur, and the proof that there was a 500-foot tsunami that raced all the way up into the Black Sea and actually caused the Black Sea at that time, 5,000 years ago, to turn salt water, that you would have thought that, maybe it really was a true story. Mm-hmm. But of course, not the case. So let's conclude the story of Noah. And the story of Noah is important for I can think of just two really profound reasons that the story of Noah is important. Mm-hmm. And it has nothing to do with the flood.
No,
it has nothing to do with with building a boat. It has nothing to do with finding the boat.
No.
The two reasons the stories are important is, number one, that it shows that God does not like, does not love, and does not want to save men and women who are engaged in the societal pursuits of religion, politics, militarism. Mm-hmm. Those were the prevailing propensities of, according to the description of them, as to why God grieved that he even created man in the first place, that he engaged with him is that man had a propensity to be vicious, to be political, to be religious, to be militaristic and deadly. And so rather than God loving humankind and wanting to save everybody and being accepting, he was exactly the opposite, was disgusted by them, hated what man had become, and wiped them out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that should be an extraordinarily sobering thought for all those nincompoops out there that think God loves a jihadist, that God loves the religious, that God is all-loving and all-accepting. It is not the case. How in the world could you carry around a book, and even the Quran, because it has bastardized stories that have been lifted from the Talmud, which discusses the flood, even it references the flood. How is it you could carry around a book that addresses this fact, that makes it clear, and not get it? But the religious don't get it. The political don't get it. You know, you can sing God Bless America until you're blue in the face, and all you're doing is upsetting God. He ain't blessing the country.
No.
Now, the second thing about the covenant story that is important is it mirrors the covenant. It even just says that Yahowah established a covenant with Noah, and even said the sign of that covenant was the rainbow. Rainbow. How many primary colors are not? They're not primary colors, but pure colors are in the rainbow.
7.
7 colors. What's Yahowah's favorite number?
7.
The number that's the color that's in the middle. Do you know what the color in the middle is between Roy G. Biv and the rainbow? It's Roy G. It's Roy G. Biv is the acronym. So what do you think?
R-O-Y, the yellow.
No, it's Roy G. Biv. G, green. Green is the green is the.
I'm slow.
Okay. It is Roy G. Biv. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. The colors of the rainbow. Green is the middle color. Everything with Yahowah is 6 plus 1. The middle color is green. It's like the menorah. There's 3 candles on either side and 1 in the middle. Green is the middle between the 3 on either side. What is the primary color associated with growth? Green.
Uh-huh.
Green. What is, if you wanted to show the universal sign for go.
Or go.
Green. Yeah, go. Green, right?
Or grow. I'm sorry.
Grow and go.
Where's green?
Yeah, go. Get off your duff. Act. Make a decision. Engage. Experience all that life has to offer. Grow and go. Green. Yeah, so the story of Noah is the story of the covenant. And, what is the one lone prerequisite of the covenant?
Walk away.
Walk away. When Yahowah first introduces us to Noah, what did he say about him?
He was alone, walking away already.
Yeah, he'd already walked away, hadn't he? He was alone. He already walked away. Which is, by the way, the same story we find with Abraham. God doesn't introduce himself to Abraham in Ur, does he?
Not at all. He's way out of town.
Right. He tells us he's from Ur, but he doesn't introduce himself to him until he's in Haran.
They got out.
Yeah, Haran is 3/4 of the way, to the promised land. That's the key. It's about the covenant. Noah met all 5 terms and conditions of the covenant, but there's this myth that in Christianity that salvation is a gift and that you don't do anything for it. No, that's not Yahowah's proposition.
No,
and there is an Islam that you make a profession of faith. And in Judaism, it's a conversion ceremony. Or if you are born a Jew, then it's your bar mitzvah, a confirmation. Within the Roman Catholic Church, there is a confirmation. That's not the way Yahowah goes. That ain't the way he rolls. He has 5 terms and conditions of his covenant. To know them, you have to listen to him. To know them, you have to observe the Torah. That's the only place they're presented. And then you need to come to understand them, accept them, and act upon them.
Right.
What's the story of Noah? And Noah engaged and acted, Ashah, in a manner consistent with and beneficially to show the way to the relationship, everything God had instructed of him, correctly doing so.
To do.
Right. Was Noah and his family saved on the ark because he had a good heart?
No.
Because he had faith?
No.
Because he converted?
Absolutely not.
Because he made a some kind of a prayer of confession?
I'm afraid that won't do it.
Because he made a large donation? Because he was political and a political leader, engaged with society? How about because he was good and was doing good deeds?
No, sir.
Because the good outweighed the bad in his life?
No, that's the Janus concept, by the way.
Yeah. No. He and his family were saved because he had walked away from human endeavors, recognizing that politics and religion and militarism are in direct opposition to what God values, and that we must walk away from them before God will even introduce himself to us. And then he listened to what Yahowah had to say, and he engaged. He acted in a manner that was consistent with everything that God had instructed of him. Now, is there any hint here of a new covenant, of a new instruction, of God engaging with Noah and saying, "Hey, man, it was tough to build a boat, so maybe next time we'll make it easier on people"?
No, sir.
No. Is there even a hint that Noah said, "Hey, crap, you really want me to build a boat? How about we build a raft? How about a tower? How about a bridge? How about you tell me where to climb a mountain to get above it?" No. Noah simply listened, and he did as God said. There are 5 terms and conditions of the covenant. Kirk, you good guy, great artist, wonderful husband, devoted to Yah's testimony. Do you think that Yahowah is going to cut you a special deal because you're a really good guy and he likes you?
Not at all. He don't even know me till I proceed towards him.
Yeah. No, there's only one way. And Noah acted upon Yahweh's instructions. This is Bereshith, Genesis 6:22, and it destroys every notion of religion. And Noah, trustworthy guide to a beautifully prepared and restful home. That's what the name means. Engaged and acted. Ashah, exerted considerable effort and energy to do. Call imperfect. Literally and genuinely, continually and habitually engaging in a manner consistent with, ka, everything, kol. Does that mean some things?
Means all things. Or all,
yeah. So this wasn't all means all. This wasn't, on the scale of good to bad, I've lived a pretty good life. Nope. He did everything. He acted and engaged in a manner consistent with everything which beneficially, to show the way, my favorite word, Asher. God had instructed of him. Shawah. God had ordered of him.
No, and that's the word I did the most study on this whole passage. Yeah.
That's a powerful word, isn't it? I translated it as instructed. Mm-hmm. What's your take on Shawah? Because if it is instructed, then it changes everything.
Yeah, because English Bibles always say he did all that the Lord commanded him to do, and it's not a command because then it wouldn't be volitional. That would be a direct order, and he doesn't command people. There's no 10 commandments. So I'm thinking with a little filter here, saying, okay, that can't be it. So I looked it up, and the first root of the word, which is a tishad and a wah, means direction. And anybody looks it up, that's what it means. It's direction. So he's obviously given directions. And then if you add the hay to it, which it is here, you'll look that up and it'll say given directions, cause to turn, point, move in a given direction. Instructions as to the path to take is also found easily. And then I looked at something and I said, well, wait a minute. If you put an M in front of it, a mem, the word that becomes then mitzvah. Yeah. So right here we have all the terms and conditions for living a moral, physical life on the path or a path to live by, however you'd like to describe it.
Now, I didn't really figure this out until...
That's a lot in one little...
Yeah, I'm going to ask you a question, and there's no reason you should know the answer to this question. I only figured this out about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, as I was trying to understand how Korah became Mikra. Kara, to call, to invite, to welcome, yeah. How it became Mikra, why the ma in front of it, and then we were translating Yahowah 9:6, and I was trying to figure out why ma was in front of Sar, to describing the individual which we learned had to be Dode. And by the next statement we're going to read, by the way, proves that it's Dode and cannot be Yosha in Yahowah 9:6 and 7. But with the ma, do you know what the ma adds to a word? For example, mitzvah is one of the most important words in the entirety of the Hebrew language.
Well, you're adding the spirit, but it's also from me or of me or out of me or.
Yeah, ma is also an interrogatory. It encourages us to seek answers, to question in the sense of seeking answers. Do you know the who, what, where, and when of the instruction? So, Yahowah is instruction, to instruct, to direct, to assign responsibility, to appoint. And so mitzvah, which would be with the ma in front of it, would mean search for answers regarding the who, what, why, and when of these instructions of the Yahowah. And there must be 500 Hebrew words that add the ma to the word, and yet no one seems to draw the connection.
Yeah, and it's lying right down on all the things if you look for it. I mean, it ain't like you're making this stuff up, or all of a sudden I've stumbled onto something that's not readily available. It's just maybe I was trying it the first time I opened my mind to hear it.
Yeah, it's profound when you think about it. So, as you studied Yahowah, you came to the same conclusion, that it's instruction, direction, appointed, to be assigned responsibility. Yeah,
tells you the path to go on.
Right.
I mean, when you say Noah. Was this is a story of his terms and conditions, basically. He starts out in this sentence with it. Everywhere you go is in there, so every clue you're looking for, he would have known.
Right. Now, I usually translate mitzvah as the terms and conditions of the covenant because
when did they first hear the terms and conditions? It was long before Abraham. Obviously, all these guys knew it.
Right. And so what mitzvah does, it asks us, do you understand, have you sought out to appreciate the who behind this instruction, the why of the instruction, the when of the instruction, the how of these instructions. And as soon as you do that, you're immediately drawn into the instructions that lead us into the relationship. The who, what, why, and when of the Torah instruction is the covenant, the covenant relationship.
Yeah. And that's where you find the path and how to walk the path.
So those are the two.
The key, isn't it? It unlocks unlocks the most important door. That's door.
So maybe we really branched out a little bit here, and there's three reasons that this story is vitally important. One is that God doesn't love everybody. He's not trying to save everybody. And in fact, as a subset of that, he actually despises people who are overtly religious, overtly political, overtly militaristic. Despises them.
No question in anyone's mind could they prove otherwise on that.
Right.
Not out of his word.
Right. In fact, we're having I guess it's the third social group, group that gets together to chit chat, whether it's on social media or on some forum where they call in and they all talk with each other. Having the third group that is separating. The first was that unpopular truth, and then a couple of those fellows ended up becoming really anti-Semitic in their own little group, and most recently it was another group that listens to these shows. And somebody wrote me a letter and said, can't you bring us all back together? And I don't want to have a split and the like. And I said, no, I don't even want to. Not only not my job. It isn't a job. You know, it's one thing to say, okay, it's not my job. You know, there's nothing I can do to, you know, and trying to accommodate people and find common ground and that sort of thing, and to show universal love and acceptance for everybody is the antithesis of what Yahowah was saying in the story of Noah. It's the antithesis of that story, and Yahowah is consistent all the way through. Never changes.
Yes.
Does not want us to be accepting, to be accommodating, to be all loving. Does not want it. So it's not just that it's not my job to do it. It isn't anybody's job, including God's. Not our job.
Now, you have free will. All these people are grown up. They can work out the issues, and they can work it out in the Torah if they're really smart. That's the source. The same thing Yosha said. Go there. It's correct. You know what you said a long time ago of you walk through the Passover door by yourself. You can't drag anybody in. You can't go in as a group.
You become part of the covenant by yourself.
I'm not trying to sound cold or anything, but Yahweh's looking for you to work with Him, and He's looking for you to be right.
Yeah.
Not to be good. It's nice if you're polite. It's nice if you're these things and those things. I mean, just so it's pleasant to live around people that are not throwing rocks at you. But the most important thing is what you've always said about why He liked Dode so much. He was right.
He was right.
The deck.
Yeah, it's incredibly important to be right. And really, not, so long as you're right, there's very little else that matters. So the other, as you know, say, just to finish that thought, the other issues with the story of Noah is it is a absolute perfect presentation, a preamble, if you will, a forecasting of the terms and conditions of the covenant and how to be part of the covenant are told in that story. If you study that story and you analyze every word, you come away knowing who Yahowah is, what He wants, and how you can come to know Him, and engage in a relationship with Him. Every important question is answered in that story. Now, from that story, we go immediately to one I think that is absolutely fascinating. And it begins in Genesis, Bereshith 10:8. Cush, which means black. It's Noah's grandson by way of Ham. It means also passionately idolatrous sun worshiper.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Fathered Nimrod. Which, you know what Nimrod means? Rebellious son. Rebellious son, isn't that great? He was Hu Chalal.
Polluted, defiled, profaned.
Yeah, that's a really bad. You do not want to be called Chalal. Chalal, because Chalal carries with it the two things that are guaranteed separation from Yahowah: arrogance and pride, conceit, that sort of thing. And the second is corruption. You're defiled. You're diseased. You're polluted. So, in fact, God would say, "You sicken me," is what, using Chalal as a verb, he would say, Nimrod sickened him. He was dishonorable, contemptible, and he was diseased. His very nature sickened Yahowah. So Cush fathered Nimrod. He was dishonorable and contemptible. By the way, so Cush came from black, from darkness. And he was dishonorable and contemptible as a result of being what's the word?
Shalom.
Gabor.
Oh, a Gabor.
He was
killed on purpose.
Right, sickening because he was a Gabor.
Yeah.
Now, the reason that word is so important, and I'll just finish the definition of Gabor here. A powerful politician, a heroic warrior. The very things that society reveres are the things that God said, this is what made him sickening to me.
Yeah.
He was arrogant because he was a powerful politician. He was contemptible because he was a heroic warrior. So what society reveres, I want to thank the military for your wonderful sacrifice. Oh, being a politician is public service. We ought to respect the office. Well, God is saying exactly the opposite. He was dishonorable and contemptible. He was polluted. He was harmful. He was diseased. He was sickening because he was a powerful politician and heroic warrior, Gabor, a mighty militant and a prominent political individual with the ability to fight, who prevailed in his quest for military and political power by being influential in society throughout that region. That is Bereshit 10:8. That's one statement.
Yeah.
Ought to be enough to
undermine.
If they teach that in Sunday school, it would undermine everything.
Yeah.
That political and religious and pro-military people believe.
Yeah.
For God to say you're sickening. Nimrod was sickening because he was a powerful politician and heroic warrior.
Warrior, yeah. Military man.
Wow. Now, there's a second reason this is important. There is the breakup with the third group here was the impetus for it. The primary straw, if you will, that broke the camel's back was my translation of and conclusions based upon the work we actually did together. We did a lot of this together, but Yahowah 9, 6, and 7, where collectively, and I'm going to include you here because I know what your stance is, and you spent so much time. I think you want to be included here. That we came to the conclusion that it spoke of Dode, and it was absolutely impossible for Yahowah 9, 6, and 9, 7 to have spoken of Yosha.
Yes, sir.
Everybody thinks it's a prophecy of Yosha. No.
Well, he wasn't military. He wasn't military, and
right.
Yosha was certainly not a politician or in charge of anything. I mean,
right.
He was a humble life.
Right. There is one of the phrases in there. There's 6 statements, 6 plus 1 in each of the 2 phrases, and one of them calls this a person a Gibor El, and it's stupidly rendered in your English Bibles, Almighty God.
Mm-hmm.
Hell no, it's not what it means.
No.
Gabor is something that God is just saying, that's the stuff that caused me to find this person sickening. So you cannot, Gabor is not, in that case, an adjective depicting the nature of God. It is just a repulsive translation in Yahowah 9:6.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what it means is that he was a powerful and heroic individual, a mighty military man, a mighty prominent individual within the government on behalf of Yahowah.
Yes.
Was Yosha any of those things?
No, sir.
Wasn't involved in the government, and he never picked up a weapon, did he?
No, sir.
How about Dode?
Yes, sir.
He was king, wasn't he? Can't be any higher in the government.
King, he killed Goliath, he fought armies, and eventually wiped out the Amalekites.
Stunningly successful. Yeah, stunningly successful as a military man, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Terribly so.
So he was a Gabor of Yahowah on behalf of God.
Yeah.
In fact, it doesn't mean that God liked the Gabor in him, by the way.
No.
He was that because the Torah presents and the prophets and the Psalms present things accurately. He was those things. But what was the reason God says, I know that this is what you want to do. You want to build the house for the covenant, that my house, on the ridge line above you on Moriah. Why did God say, I'm not going to allow you to do it?
Because that symbolism would resonate throughout his Torah, and people would get the wrong idea. And he can't say I hate this, and then allow him to do that.
He gave
by people.
Was one reason. It wasn't because he was. It wasn't because he was adulterous, which he was. No. It wasn't because he was polygamous, Because he was. It wasn't because, the Christians get so fixated over people, engaging in sexuality. I mean, Dode was a very sexual man. He had probably more participants in his harem than he knew the names of. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't because of that either, was it?
No, sir.
No. It was for one reason and one reason alone.
Because of his
Gabor.
Fortunately, being involved in running the government, and also being in military.
Yeah.
Blood
on his hands. So it was because he was a warrior.
Warrior.
Yeah, said, you ain't building the house for me. He said, listen, you've been right in terms of your understanding of me, and therefore you're righteous and you're vindicated, and you are my son, and I love you, and I am your father. So it worked out beautifully for Dode. But it's important to know that Gabor is used twice in relationship with Nimrod. It cannot be ascribed to God. It describes an individual, a prominent individual within the society or the military. Dode met those qualifications. God does not, and Yahowah did not.
Correct. Yeah.
End of discussion. I mean, if you've got a problem with that, then learn Hebrew.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got a problem with that? Learn Hebrew.
Like the teacher said, go look at the word up. I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't want to. It takes time. Can you just give me the meaning? Well, we did give you the meaning.
Yeah.
And if you want to fight against that meaning, look it up.
Yeah.
And then stop arguing about Yahowah 9:6 and 9:7, because that's stupid. And I don't care how smart you are. Mm-hmm. If you can't figure that out, you aren't thinking anymore.
Correct.
Now that'll cause me to lose even more friends, I'm sure, because I just called the smartest person that we know stupid, and he's not stupid overall. But in this case, by not putting two and two together, he's not thinking in this case. Yeah. And this is an extremely important issue, because there are things that God does not like, and this is one of them. Mm-hmm. And by the way, that same article, that same letter to me said that, people were splitting because I was turning Dode into a demagogue.
No, you're not.
Have I ever insinuated that Dode was divine?
No, sir.
Have I ever suggested that he should be worshipped?
No.
Did I ever suggest that he is perfect?
He is perfect because he's been pronounced, so he is Sadak.
Yeah, he's perfect in God's eyes. That is correct.
Same way all of us are not.
You betcha. You betcha. Either. Yeah, no. Yahowah makes a big deal about Dode. Says more to say about him than anyone else. And the reason is that Dode understood the Torah, and Dode was, I think, the most important of all prophets. In fact, you wouldn't even know anything about Yahowah.
Because he teaches you to go to the Torah and how to approach the Torah, which is otherwise you got a lot of information, but you may not know how to approach it as easily as you obviously will when you.
Correct. Yahowah's position on Dode is straightforward. Mm-hmm. He is my beloved son. I am his father. He is right.
Like him as his best son.
He is right. He is my psalmist.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask a question here?
Sure.
The reason it can't be Yahowah, if Yahowah has number one, his name dictates that it's a mission statement, and he had one job to do, and the only reason he came was to fulfill Passover and Matzah and Bikurim and Shavuot. So, and if that's Yahweh's soul in him. And in addition to that, he has this overwhelming dose, forgive my expression, but plainly, this overwhelming part of his spirit laid on him the last 3 years of his mission. Mm-hmm. It does become self-love if he elevates him beyond
Correct.
that. We're talking about Yah's. That's what Yah did so we could be with him.
Right.
And this is kind of self-love if he's the one.
Yes.
Yeah, he can't be him. So,
right.
So that's a no-go, right?
Yeah, of course, if you wanted to make it him, then you got to deal with the fact that Yalad says that he was born like any other person was born. There was absolutely nothing special about his birth. His mother became pregnant and delivered an ordinary child.
Yeah.
That's how it begins.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's something to definitely to think about. But anyway, this use of
it's not him in this context, though.
Right, because this here, therefore, so he would prominently. Well, I should begin this statement again. I'll just read it again, then I'll read the next statement. So, Cush fathered blackness, fathered Nimrod, which means rebellious son. He was dishonorable and contemptible, proud and profane, defiled and diseased, polluted and harmful, sickening, as a result of being this is Haya, a powerful politician and heroic warrior, Gabor, in the region. He would prominently and impetuously, powerfully and militarily,
Gabor
again, hunt his prey, in direct opposition to Yahowah. Now, La Pene, which means approaching or to, it's a proposition, and Pene means in your face, it means in your presence. Do you think that, so you have the options with La Pene, you could write it as in direct opposition to, as an assault against, as an attack upon the presence of, or, because those are perfectly good renderings of the word, but you can also render the word in the presence of. Mm-hmm. And most people do, because the primary meaning of Pene is in the presence of. Well, God has just said, this person's sickening to me. He's dishonorable. He's contemptible. His father was blackness.
Yeah, he's throwing it in his face.
Yeah, and now he's out prominently and impetuously killing, hunting his prey. Do you think that Yahweh was saying, oh boy, that I watched every moment of that. Wasn't that spectacular? It's like Yahweh sitting in the stands of the Colosseum cheering when the gladiator slays his victim. No. You got to think it through. It's not in the presence of Yahweh. It's in direct opposition to Yahweh. Therefore, it is that the likes of Nimrod, those similar to Nimrod, prominently and impetuously, powerfully and militarily, stalk, capture, control, and victimize prey, pursuing the life of others to destroy it.
Yeah.
As an assault against and attack upon the very presence of Yahweh.
Yeah.
Once again, it ends with La Pene. You got to think it through. I think it's fair to say that yes, could it, if the words preceding it were not so harsh, so condemning.
Right.
If it didn't be right, if Chalal wasn't the first word, which is sickening, if that word wasn't such so negative, is there the possibility that you could render La Pene as in the presence of?
Yeah, you'd have to take out quite a few of these words.
But you'd have to remove.
And a liar, you could, translations you can.
Yeah, I mean, you could leave Gabor to some extent, but not a Chalal Gabor. Mm-hmm. You can't say he was the reason that he was Chalal was because of his Gabor, and then have Gabor viewed favorably. Yeah. So he would prominently and impetuously, powerfully and militarily, Gabor, fight mightily and establish political influence by hunting his prey, acting as a hunter, pursuing game and killing animals.
Yeah.
Which is used metaphorically to depict someone who pursues the life of another in order to destroy it.
Yes, and he did.
He did.
You could get more Babylon than this.
Right. By the way, if you're a powerful political and military man, mm-hmm. and you're hunting,
yes,
is it for food?
No.
Ever? Under any circumstances?
No. Nobody's starving because they're not. No. This is all about
hunting for the fun of it.
Other people's stuff and their souls. with it.
Yes. It's the primary meaning here is, yes, preying on people's souls. That is correct.
Exactly.
But if you just wanted to look at it superficially,
right.
It would be an indictment for hunting as sport, for hunting as fun.
We invaded a country in the last 100 years that we did so for a altruistic reason? No. By the way, I've got no issue with hunting. We have a farm. We our employees on the farm. For food, not
we allow them to hunt, even encourage them to hunt, because of the fact that every animal they take, they butcher the animal. They use every part of it, and they love venison, and they eat the meat of the deer,
sure.
And even give the bones and the bone marrow to their dogs. And if the period that we went like 4 years without hunting, oh boy, you don't want to see the result. I mean, without any prey, the
overage.
Right, that to be the animals become sick and deformed. I mean, it happens fast. It's surprising. The weak, end up fathering and
they're so bad.
Anyway. So anyway, I don't have any problem with that. I don't have a problem. Our host here, Scott, goes out once a year and goes hunting with his father. I don't think Scott has ever shot the animal, but he likes the companionship. I have guns. I'll go out in the woods and I'll shoot the guns. I'm probably not going to go out with hunting somebody because I just happen to be squeamish. I don't like killing. But I'm a carnivore. I eat meat, so, maybe that makes me a hypocrite, but I just don't want to be present as the animal's life is taken. And I'm a little bit more comfortable with an animal that has been specifically raised and then for food and is the life taken very mercifully.
They weren't being raised for food, too.
That is correct. Therefore it is said, the likes of Nimrod, prominently and impetuously, powerfully and militarily, stalking, capturing, controlling, victimizing prey, pursuing the lives of others to destroy it. Syad here is not a good word. To act as a hunter, pursuing game by killing animals. From sud, to stalk and victimize, capture and control, ensnare and kill. As an assault against an attack upon the very presence of Yahowah.
I don't know how you'd render it any other way, Chief.
No.
This ain't going to happen.
No. Those what the words mean. And again, we've been very open. La Panah can be translated in the presence of or in opposition to. Mm-hmm. Depending on...
He still caught it in his face. I mean... same thing.
In fact, I would say that throwing it in his face... is probably the best translation that you could make right here of La Panah. Yeah, he's throwing it in Yahowah's face.
No, he don't like him.
No. So this came to be the beginning of his kingdom of Babylon, of confusing corruption, including Erech, which means prolonged self-reliance, Akkad, subtle, deceitful, and treacherous deception, and Calneh, ignominious, shameful, and lowly. Mm-hmm. In the land of Shinar. Shinar is Sumer.
Babylonian plain.
Right, Sumer. Yeah, it not only is the name Sumer, which became Babylon and Assyria, by the way, and therefore Mesopotamia. It means between the rivers. So between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers.
Uh-huh.
That is really important.
Yeah.
You know why that's important? Because there's the story of the. Remember, I was reading the story of the Assyrian and Yahowah. We covered it like 3 chapters ago. And how I was surprised that the first time we're really introduced in the book to Satan, he is described as the Assyrian.
Yes, the Lord of this.
Yeah, and now the chapter that I'm currently translating, he is Babylonian.
Mm-hmm. Same, it's a different hat, same guy.
Right. And in the midst, between the two, Yahowah speaks of the destruction of Babel, and he mentions the Medes, and the Medes were very involved in capturing Nineveh. Mm-hmm. Nineveh was the capital of Assyria. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things I said in a show, I asked you a question. It was like, maybe 3 months ago. I said, can you tell me what the difference is between Assyria and Babylon in terms of the people, the rule, the place, the ethnicity,
no, it's just
the language and the like? Yeah. Can you please tell me what the difference is between Assyria and Babylon?
No, sir.
Yeah, the answer is you can't. They are so intertwined. When you study them, you find they're people considered to be Babylonians at the helm of Assyria, and Assyrians, people considered to be Assyrians at the helm of Babylon. Mm-hmm. Babylon was a city in Babylonia, south of Nineveh. Nineveh was the capital of Assyria. This is saying that Babel was the entirety of this, and it grew even out of because Shinar is Sumer, which was the first city. Actually, as you look at the history here, there was first Babel, which had its primary city was Nineveh. Mm-hmm. And then from there you had the power becomes and Sumer, and then it becomes Assyria, and a move back to Nineveh, but under the guise of the Assyrian god. And then it vacillates back and forth a number of times between Assyria and Babylon as to who's in charge of the region, and then becomes Persia. But there really isn't any difference. It's the land of the Chaldeans, Yahowah refers to it, and it's the entirety of that place and those people and that culture.
Yeah. You got the four big things he hates the most. They're the inventors of. They're the perpetuators. That's why it just becomes a metaphor throughout the whole Torah. It's for religion, politics, military, and economic schemes. They're all birthplace there.
Yes.
Change your hat, and change your name, but it's still the same stuff.
Right.
Get out of it, my people.
Right, and the name, and by the way, and that's the thing you just said is so important. If you trace the history of all of this, mm-hmm. from beginning to end, here is the beginning. Yahowah was saying that Babel was founded by a person who was despicable, who was corrupt, who was sickening because he was powerful politically and mighty, heroic militarily. That's the beginning on our first introduction to it. Mm-hmm. By Yeshaya 14, he's going to say that the primary influence over Babel is Satan himself.
Yes.
And then at the end of time, as we move all the way to the time right before Yahowah's return, he is begging his children to come out of what?
Out of Babylon.
Out of Babylon. Out of Babel. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Exactly.
It's a never-ending plea throughout the whole Torah. Walk away, walk away, walk away. What do you need?
The book that Christians carry around, how does it differ than the Hebrew word Babel?
It's with Baal. I mean,
and it's the same word, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's only two ways.
The Lord. What does it say? You say Lord in Hebrew.
Right. And what's Baal or Baal? In Babylon it was Bel, means the Lord, and then in Canaan it was Baal. Same word.
Yeah.
Same word. Baal. And so Babel means with the Lord. The Lord is Satan. Now, but that's the name that Christians have on their Bibles, by the way.
Yes.
And what's interesting about that name is it depicts the religion of Christianity to a T. It means to intermix and to confuse.
Yes.
Christianity is an intermixing of the Babylonian religion, the Greek religion, the Roman religion, threw in a little of the Egyptian religions, a lot of the Canaanite religion, all thrown in together. A lot of Gnosticism, another one of the Greek religions. Mm-hmm. It's just this. It's by intermixing a bunch of lies with the truth, they came up with the Bible, with the religion of Christianity. And so God is telling us here that the most effective way to confuse people is to mix truth and lies.
Yeah.
That if you tell only pure lies, that you're not going to fool anybody.
Yeah.
So it's confusing by intermixing, by corrupting, by not only twisting the facts, but making lies appear believable because you've associated them with the truth.
And further, if you know the Torah, they can even do that, and you dismiss them. That's what they did to Shaul.
Correct.
Why he wound up going after the Goyim that didn't know anything.
Correct. You're an artist. If you were to devote yourself to creating a 99.999% perfect $100 bill, would that bill be valid?
No.
No, it wouldn't, would it?
I might pass it on some unsuspecting.
Even if it was...
It all works.
Yeah,
But
yes.
Somebody would say, this ain't the real deal, and then what are you going to do?
Correct. It's a fake. You don't get to the truth by mixing it with lies. From that territory, he went out and came upon Asher. Well, that certainly gets you right to the connection between Babel and Asher is right there. Mm-hmm. You know, the conclusion that I ultimately drew that they were the same thing, it's presented right here.
Yes, sir.
From that territory, what territory? He's got Babel, he's got Sumer, Shinar, and now Asher. And he's speaking of them as one collective thing.
Right.
From that territory, he went out and came upon Asher. And he built Nineveh, which has been translated Nineveh. So the very first civilization here that would be known as Babel did not have its primary city as Babylon, but instead as Nineveh, which was the capital of Assyria.
Right.
Nineveh, by the way, is a refuge of the fleeing Ninus, of the rebellious son, Nimrod.
Nimrod, isn't that amazing?
Yeah, he named the city after himself. By the way, when he is called Nimrod, son of whom?
That was Cush.
Yeah, well, he was the son of Cush, but that's not what the name implies. And the story applies. In fact, the way that the religion was created after Nimrod was out there hunting and was allegedly torn up by the wild boar. The queen of his wife, his queen, realized she was going to lose all of her power unless she could come up with a really good story. And I don't know if she came up with it or some priest came up with it, but the story they came up with was that somebody impregnated her. And she delivered a child on the winter solstice, which means she had gotten pregnant right around Easter time. That's why this woman's name became Ishtar. So she was pregnant. She said, wasn't by a person. I'm the queen. I was impregnated by God, the sun. It was the sun rays on a Sunday nearest the vernal equinox, Easter, that I was impregnated by God, the Son. Miraculously, I was a virgin, and I gave birth to the Son of the Son, and therefore the Son of God, which makes her, by the way, the Queen of Heaven, the Mother of God, and the Madonna and Child. Have you heard that in any religion?
I heard it all over Christianity.
Yeah, that is, so he was called the Nimrod because he was the son of the sun. And that is the story. So there is, we're not going to get through all of this, but this is what follows. So God is going to give us a second narrative on the story of Babel. And here it is just streamlined for us to kind of understand the whole thing. Now, it came to exist with ongoing consequences that the entire region had one language. And so the words were closely related, sharing common characteristics. Then it came to pass as they migrated towards the east, and from there they had previously existed, and from where they had previously existed long ago, while moving in the direction of the rising sun. That's Shakar. That happens to be the name of Satan. It's Halal ben Shakar. Halal ben Shakar. By the way, you know that Shakar, one of the meanings of Shakar, isn't, but most people just leave it as rising sun or morning. You know what?
Enlightenment.
Well, it's actually the opposite of that. Darkness. Darkness. So Halal ben Shakar would be the arrogant son of darkness.
Darkness. Wow.
Yeah. I've been translating was a whole commentary on Halal ben Shakar. That's where I am right now. I was actually shocked to learn, because it's been rendered this way in so many Bibles that I had really thought that he sought to elevate himself above the Most High. That's the Allahu Akbar thing. I'm greater than God.
Yeah.
It's not what it says. It's not actually what it says. What it actually says is far, far more interesting, far more revealing, far more powerful. What it actually says, and this is what it says. Let me find the exact spot here. Oh yeah, here it is. I will, on my own initiative, make myself appear as if I were. Dhamma. I will do whatever is necessary to be considered as, correspond to be the equivalent of. Without any assistance, I will consistently resemble and be continually compared to. And this was written in the Hitpael imperfect. Hitpael means on my own initiative without any outside influence on an ongoing basis. And Dhamma speaks of making oneself appear as if you were something else. So it's not that he sought to be above God.
To actually be it, he just wants to appear
as if he is God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will, on my own initiative, make myself appear as if I were the Most High.
That's amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
It's a nice little twist, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh. Wow.
So that is not what we would have expected of it by any circumstance. That is so.
Is that in 20?
Pardon?
Chapter 20, or what is it? I mean, your section 20?
Yeah, it's in chapter 21.
Oh, 21, okay.
Yeah, so returning to this, then it says, then it came to pass as they migrated east, so they're migrating, towards the rising sun, Shakar, in the valley, in the region of Shinar, Sumer, which became Babylonia, and Mesopotamia, and also Assyria. And they settled there. And they said, each individual to his immoral countryman, this is one of your Ra'ah words, each individual to his immoral countrymen, his loudmouthed and evil public speakers with troubling social, racial, and religious pontifications, come, I implore you to act, choosing to do what I want done, because I want you to allow me to control you.
Because how Paul say.
Yeah, that's because I, Paul, say. All while you ascribe excellence and greatness to me. I want us to make, as an expression of my will, sun-dried and whitewashed bricks and writing tablets. Then I want to burn an offering to the fiery serpent, so as to approach the place of the serpent's blaze. Well, that's not the way you're going to read it in your English Bible, and in a future program we'll get through the words that lead us to that translation. Well, it will be in a future program indeed, because we've run out of time for today. But we'll return to this topic, which is an enlightening one, this time next week.